What's going on, family? What's going on? Assalamu alaikum. Shalom, shalom. What's going on? We about to talk about something serious. A lot of us don't consider. Nor was taught, and we have to understand. Just different methods of how we are being attacked, even in our own home. So we're gonna go over a topic called one of the deadliest silent killers within the community: radiation. We're gonna talk about that. So I'm just waiting for more people to get on here. If y'all could share, like, comment, tell me where you coming from, where you logging in at. Tap in. So y'all see one of the deadliest silent killers within our home: radiation. I'm going to go do an invite, and we're going to talk about it. We are going to talk about it. Make sure y'all share, like, comment. Let's discuss some things, family. One of the deadliest silent killers in our home. Straight up. Y'all tap in with your brother. We're going to talk about it. We are going to discuss it today. What's going on, everybody who tuned in? Appreciate y'all. I'm sending peace, love, balance, prosperity your way. I'm sending, love. I'm sending gratitude. I'm sending anything that's going to uplift you, abundance, all that. So let's talk about it. I want to talk about one of the deadliest silent killers within our home. A lot of us don't really understand ourselves. Let me use that. A lot of us don't understand ourselves nor ourselves. And because of that, we don't realize that the environment that we have been put in and that we have also created for ourselves is literally killing us in many, many different ways. And I really want to give y'all just some insight on certain things that's literally destroying us beyond the education, beyond the government, beyond the economy, beyond our jobs. I'm talking about things directly inside your home that are killing you. You see what I'm saying? One of them being is cleaning products. Cleaning products is very, very cancerous. Cleaning products is very, very dangerous, especially if you're inhaling it, especially if you're in a house full of children, your loved ones, and you constantly breathing that stuff in. It can literally cause cancer. If you actually read behind the labeling of a lot of these cleaning products, it tells you caution, can cause severe cancer. Be sure to check in with your doctor. Now, one has to ask themselves, if something is supposed to be good for me, why do I need to check in with my doctor? And why are you cautioning me that it may be cancerous? It may cause me to catch cancer. Not catch, but develop cancer in the body. See, we got to start asking these questions. And here's the thing. One of the biggest things we have to stop doing is accepting self-inflicted death. I don't mean natural death. I don't mean death when the Creator said it's your time. I'm talking about self-inflicting death. Suicide is not just you putting the knife to your vein or your wrist. Suicide is not just you jumping from a building. Suicide is not just you putting a gun to your head. Suicide is not just you jumping in front of a car. Suicide is simply doing things to yourself knowing it can damage you. That's what real suicide is. harming yourself, taking in things, doing things to yourself, knowing they actually can cause harm and even death. That really is suicide. So with that being said, hold on real quick, family. With that being said, if that is a form of suicide, how many of us have been committing suicide, or in this case, I'm going to say nutricide or chemicide, which is chemical suicide? How many of us have been doing these things to ourselves? Doing things that we know cause harm to ourselves and can possibly kill me, but still do it anyway. How many of us do that? A lot of us do that simply by, and I've heard this so much. You talk to somebody and you say, well, hey, that's not really good for you. Well, yeah, I know it's not good for me. I know it can cause me harm, but I just can't help myself. I love it. That is a form of chemicide or nutricide. You drinking some liquor, knowing it can cause liver damage and shut your liver down, but you say, I just love to get drunk. You are committing chemicide or nutricide. See, suicide is not just in a form of cutting yourself, shooting yourself, or jumping in front of a car or a building. It can simply be you literally doing things to yourself, knowing it causes harm, and you do it anyway. And that's how sick we are, that we have accepted this as normalcy. We have accepted this as a way of life. We have accepted this by calling it YOLO. And as far as the black community is concerned, we have to stop doing that. We have to stop doing it, because this is the reason why the age rate of living is dropping so rapidly. I mean, nowadays you got 19-year-olds, 18-year-olds with hypertension. You got 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 23-year-olds with diabetes. I know in my grandparents' time, in my parents' time, that was no such thing, because although the diet still wasn't the best then, we were more disciplined then. So you'll see people in this era who may eat terrible now, but they've been able to stand the test of time because their parents during those times implemented more disciplined behavioral eating than we see today. You got people out here literally feeding their children crap for breakfast. You got people out here feeding their children biscuits, rice, different forms of all these heavy, complex foods for breakfast. And you wondering why your child at the age of 10 having these acne issues or eczema issues or having asthma. Because you're not supplying them with the vital nutrients or essential minerals that they need. But then you ask them and turn around, man, boy, why you always sick? Girl, why you always sick? Not realizing they ain't feeding themselves, but it's the one that's feeding them, whether that be psychologically, spiritually, or physically, that's feeding them. That's causing their demise and sickness. So we as a people have to stop blaming everyone and everybody and start to look within and realize that we are causing our own demise. We are the reason that we are in captivity. We are the reason that we are sick like this. We are the reason that our relationships is messed up. We are the reason for it all. And I'm not taking the blame from any other people or any other nation, but we have to get to a point where we start taking responsibility for our demise or our rise. We have to be the ones that start taking responsibility for our demise and for our rise. So today I want to talk about a topic just to give y'all some insight on how to do better even within your home, because you can start creating defense mechanisms for what's going on in this environment called America. You can, but you have to be willing, you have to be disciplined, you have to use discernment, and most of all, you have to love yourself enough to know that you should not be doing this so that you can live a longer life, to be able to teach our children the right path to go. But if you're sitting here living a YOLO life, saying I'm gonna just do whatever, eat whatever, I gotta die anyway, then you're choosing not to be a strong vessel in our community. You're choosing death over life. You are choosing to literally kill yourself rather than elevate yourself and provide yourself with the essential needs that you need. You see that? So we have to start making better decisions, which is why we're going to talk about this topic today, because a lot of us don't understand this nor know this. One of the deadliest silent killers within our home, radiation. Now, most people, when they hear radiation, they're thinking about chemotherapy, chemotherapy, getting therapy or trying to find balance by using chemicals, which is wrong, right? Most people think of radiation due to cancer, right? Hold on, y'all. Most of us think like that, right? Not knowing that there are many different forms of actual radiation, which we're going to go over today. Hold on, y'all. Hold on real quick. Oh, my bad, y'all. So, one of the forms of radiation is the microwave. A lot of us use the microwave to heat up our food. In some cases nowadays, cook. You got the dry pan now, or dry cooker that's making food now. And a lot of people don't understand or even ask the question, well, how is my food getting heat up? How is this machine actually extracting heat to my food to warm it up? Not realizing that when you use a microwave, you are actually using radiation to heat your food up. No different than them using radiation to try to kill off cancer on a client or a patient. You see? And why is that important to know? It's because when we're literally heating up our food by way of radiation, we are now eating radiation. And so one may ask, well, what does that have to do with anything? How is that detrimental to our health? Well, let me tell you first what radiation does. I'll use radiation for a cancer patient. When a person who has cancer goes to the doctor for chemotherapy or radiation, we have to understand that the doctors do not have any type of machine. They don't have any type of mechanism that can directly focus on the cancerous cell or the tumor. But what they do is they use this machine to target the area of the cancer and tumor. Why is that important to know? Because when you are getting this radiation or chemotherapy, what you're doing is not only trying to kill off the tumor or the cancerous cells, but you're also killing off the good cells that surround it. Why is that important? Because in the midst of you actually killing off the cells, the midst of you trying to kill off this tumor, you are killing the very cells that is used for a defense in your body. You are killing the very cells that copy your DNA. You are killing the very cells that is used for RNA to copy your DNA so that you can replicate, duplicate, or even divide and develop to continue on in your life and defend your body within. You see that? So this is why when most people get chemotherapy or they get radiation, what is the first thing that happens to them? Can anybody answer that? For anybody who's been around cancer patients or people who have gotten chemotherapy or radiation, or maybe you studied it, what is the first thing that usually goes? Can anybody give me an answer? What is the first thing that usually goes when we're dealing with cancer patients? Anybody got an answer? I'll give y'all a few seconds to answer. Somebody said bones brittle. Okay. What else? It's a specific thing that we all can see. Because you can see bones can brittle, but you don't see it though. You don't see it. There we go. Hair. Your hair. The first thing that goes when it comes to chemotherapy or radiation is your hair. Now, can anybody answer me? What is the hair connected to? Because the hair doesn't start at the scalp. It don't start at the skin. What is your hair connected to? Can anybody answer me? What is your hair connected to? Does anybody know what is your hair connected to? And we're going somewhere with this, so stay with me. What is your hair connected to within the body? Your nervous system. Absolutely. Your nervous system. So now that we're getting down to it, not only is radiation destroying your good cells and also the cancerous tumor cells, but it is also destroying now your nervous system. It is destroying the very thing that's able to send messages from your brain through your spinal cord down to the rest of your body and organs and cells. So now we got to this. Getting radiation does not only destroy the cancerous cells, but it destroys the good cells. It destroys the DNA. It destroys the RNA. It destroys the defensive mechanism of the body. And it also is destroying the messenger of the body. Why is this important to know? Because when you're going through this pattern of taking on radiation, you are doing more harm than good. And this is the main reason why when people get radiation or chemotherapy, the doctors tell you we need to keep watching you because it may come back. So if you're telling me that the cancer can possibly come back or other things can start to shut down due to radiation, why the hell am I getting radiation? Why the hell am I getting chemotherapy? Because we have to come to the understanding that this whole economy, from the food to the education to the pharmaceutical company to the economics to the government to our clothes, is about big business. This whole economy is not built on actually serving and helping the people, but it's built upon the people staying sick so that the people can rely on those in power. And if you ain't sick, do you think you're going to need them anymore? No. If you're able to grow your own food, do you think you're going to need them anymore? No. If you have your own herbs, do you think you're going to need them anymore? No. If you make your own clothes, do you think you're going to need them anymore? No. If you create your own institutions of education where it's built upon your perspective of life based upon the origin you come from, do you think you're going to need their education anymore? That all it does is actually pinpoint them to remain in power while we remain in tail. Do you think you're going to need them anymore? No. No. So we have to understand this first. Everything that they give us, for the most part, everything that they give us is not for our benefit. It is not for our resolutions. It is not for our restitutions. It is not for the upliftment or liberation of our people, but it is to keep us in a physical, spiritual, and a psychological sick state of mind. So once we understand that, we will start to pose the questions going back to the beginning. Going back to the beginning. Now we're talking about radiation once again. So now we just went over discussing what direct radiation is. Hold on, y'all. We went over what direct radiation is. Now we're going to go over what I call subliminal radiation. Subliminal radiation comes from your microwave. So now, when you microwave your food and you radiate your food by heat, that radiation now is going into your food. Once it goes into your food and you eat that food, You are now eating radiated food. You are now eating radiation on a slow level. So the only difference between you and a cancer patient who is getting chemotherapy, who is getting radiation, is that you are experiencing a slow death while they are experiencing a fast death. That is the only difference. That is the only difference between you eating radiated food and somebody who has cancer getting chemotherapy or radiation. Why is this important? Because we have to understand that when back in the ancient times, there was no such thing as a microwave. There was no such thing as a microwave. Because we understood even our pots was made of clay. Our pots was made of the earth. It was made of soil. You see what I'm saying? Because we understood even if we had to heat our food up, we wanted to keep it very, very natural. So if you understand anything about clay pots or even copper pots, because if we were going to use metal, the highest form of metal we would use when cooking would be copper, right? So when we use these, it would be more of a benefit to our food than actually a demise to our food, which would be a demise to us. So we would use clay pots because clay pots actually preserve a lot of the heat, and it will actually cook your food slow. So it would not be that much heat in your food. Why? Because anytime you start to put heat or fire to anything, it starts to strip the constituents away from the food. So if you want to eat vegetables, the highest form of eating vegetables is raw. Because the minute you put fire to it, you start to strip it of its constituents, and therefore it does not become as useful to you as it would if it was not cooked. Same thing with vegetables. Or not vegetables, but fruit. You should not be cooking your fruit because its highest form of potency, its highest form of optimum usage is when it's in its rawest form, because it gets cooked or it gets radiated naturally by the sun. And this is what we would call sun cooked food, because it goes through a process called photosynthesis. It goes through a process of photosynthesis where it's able to strip from the ground its nutrients from the roots and actually receive its sun or its light codes from the sun. So when you're actually eating your vegetables or you're eating your fruit, you are literally getting the highest level of minerals that you can ever receive. That's why even you, black man, black woman, when you go outside and you sit in the sun, guess you're not getting radiation. So that's what they try to say. They put sunscreen on to keep you from UV rays. Well, here's the powerful thing about that and why the Creator made us the way we are. We're able to actually benefit from the sun versus anybody else. Because our melanin not only is used to absorb from the sun vitamin D, which is turned over to cholesterol for our use, but it also is a defense mechanism so we won't take in too much UV rays versus anybody else. So you see how powerful we can be as a people. You see how powerful in tune with nature we are with people, because we have something called carbon, or we have something called sugar that's converted into salts. We have copper. We have gold in our skin. We have iron phosphate. We have vitamin D. You see that? So when we actually understand the geographical location of where we come from and why we were placed there and why that environment was literally created to be conducive to our growth and development, you will see that this society is not made for us to flourish. If you understand anything about traveling, if you understand anything about going into nature or going into other environments or cultures or customs, the sun don't even shine the same way over here. I've been to Africa, lived there for a year and visited many times. The sun is actually closer over there than over here. But if you wanted to get some type of sun that's close to that, the best places for you to be, honestly, is Georgia and Florida, because we sit on the equator. We sit on the same equator line as Israel. So if you want to get the best conducive environment to your growth, it would be Georgia or Florida. But most of us don't live down south, and believe it or not, that was purposeful. Even during the time of slavery, when we was running away, most Negroes went where? Up north. And that was for a reason, but it also was intentional. You know Negroes don't do good in the snow. You know that. We would shut everything down not to deal with the snow. And if you from where I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, you know we don't deal with the snow like that. I mean, we deal with it, but I mean, that's not our forte. We would rather be in Florida with some sun. We would rather be in Georgia with some sun. We would rather be in California, Arizona, anywhere but where the snow is. Because if you want to really get down to it, you will realize during that time, during the winter time, especially those who stay in winter areas like that where it's cold and snow, that is the most highest time for depression. Which shows you even the environment and nature plays a major part even on our mood. Even on our mood. That's why you'll always hear me say, go outside, get some fresh air, stretch. You know what I'm saying? Go outside, be around an environment that's not so built with buildings and houses and whatnot, so you can actually breathe in natural carbon dioxide from the trees. So you can actually get enough sun that's not blocking you from tall buildings. See, we got to understand that a lot of this was made on purpose. This whole environment was, why do you think they call it the projects? They don't call it the projects for no reason. They call it the projects because they literally created a project to test the mind state of Negroes in certain environments. That's deep. They've literally created projects to test the mindset of Negroes when they're placed in certain environments. That's why you'll see a liquor store in every corner. That's why you will see a church on every corner. That's why you see drugs is the highest in the hood than any other places. Gun violence is the highest in any hood than any other place. Because these are projects and they're trying to test how Negroes would be. And they gave us a glimpse of this. If you actually go watch the movie, The Purge, I forgot the actual one, which purge I'm talking about, but it's the one where they literally was testing and plotting in the black community who would kill each other first. Y'all know what I'm talking about. The Purge, where I think it's called The First Purge. Go watch that movie. Don't just watch it, study it. Don't just watch it, study it. And you would see that they literally tested the black community first as a diabolic plot to see if we can kill each other off first. And when Negroes did not do it, what did they do? Put black faces on and act like it was a Negro start, and then something happened. They've been doing this for centuries. They did this also in Chicago. They just passed a law about this, actually. They just passed a law in Chicago. If y'all remember, I think 2 or 3 years back, where there was people going around shooting, and they started to show that these people literally had black faces on. See, you got to understand, they don't put movies out like this for no reason. They do it so that you can get programmed and desensitized to accept it. But back to my point. One of the deadliest silent killers within our home is radiation. So now, dealing with radiation, what does radiation do? Anybody know what radiation does? Anybody? Does anybody know what radiation does to the body? Does anybody know what radiation does to the body? I'll wait. I just need one answer. What does radiation do to the body? It can give you cancer again. A lot of people be thinking their cancer is gone and they feel good, and literally between 7 and 10 years later, cancer come back and is actually test 7 times worse. What else does cancer do? Cancer actually shuts down, radiation. Radiation actually shuts down your thyroid. So, and if you know anything about your thyroid is in charge of what? Let's see who's been listening. Your thyroid is in charge of what? Let's see who got to guess. Your thyroid is in charge of what? Your thyroid is in charge of your development in the body. It's in charge of your metabolism. It's actually in charge of iodine, right? Iodine is one of the main minerals we need. You have your parathyroid as well. That's used to make calcium for the bones. right? It's in charge of your growth, meaning if you get tall, if you have strong bones, if you're fat, if you're skinny, if you're too skinny, if you're too fat. This is actually what the thyroid is in control of. So if you see somebody who's too fat, we know they have a hypothyroid issue. If you see somebody who's very skinny but they eat a lot and they can't seem to put on weight, we know they have a hyperthyroid. You see what I'm saying? So now that we got that understanding, my thyroid and my parathyroid is shut down. And I think somebody said your bones start to turn into brittle. This is why, because the radiation has now shut down your thyroid, which has helped to grow. And you know anything about grow, it helps the cells to divide. And the cells are made to divide so they can replicate the DNA just in case something happens. They have the code or they have the copy of your DNA to help you still grow. Because as you know, your cells die and they rebirth themselves. They die and they rebirth. They die and they rebirth. So now imagine this. If I know that my parathyroid and thyroid are in charge of my growth, and it can affect my metabolism. It can affect the strengthening of my bones. And I know my bones also produces something called bone marrow. And my bone marrow helps produce something called the red blood cells, right? Or your cells, period. So now if I know that my thyroid is shut down, I know for a fact that I'm going to start having bone issues, which is why most people, when they start having cancer, they start to tighten up. They start to tighten up and be bound up because their bones are starting to brittle, because the inflammation is starting to pick up, because the radiation has now not only killed the growth and development of the body due to your thyroid and bones, but now it also weakened my defense mechanism called the lymphatic system. Which the lymphatic system sends out something called lymph nodes, which actually eats up the acid in the body that sits on top of the cells, and it filtrates through the kidney to eliminate out my body. So not only have you stopped my growth, but now you're shutting down my strength through my bones. And now you've even shut down my defense mechanism by way of my white blood cells, my T cells and my B cells, right? That is in line with my lymphatic system. So now I can't even eliminate properly or even go collect the acid properly because you done shut it down by radiation and produce too much inflammation in the body, which is causing my lymphatic system to be stagnant. So now my lymphatic system is stagnant. Now my kidneys are shutting down and cannot filtrate properly. Cannot filtrate properly. So now they start to shut down. And because now I'm putting so much stress due to this radiation on my body, my adrenal glands now is stressed the hell out. So it's producing too much adrenaline, because that's what happens when you actually go into a stress mode or a fight or flight mode. You start to produce a lot of adrenaline to keep you focused. So now I'm producing too much adrenaline, which is causing me to go into anxiety, which is causing me to go into depression, which is causing me to go into just overall frightened. You just got a fear-mongering spirit now, because you're producing so much adrenaline and also cortisol, which is getting dumped into the blood now. So now I have too much cortisol and too much adrenaline getting dumped into my blood, when we know my blood needs to stay alkaline. And if my blood gets too alkaline or gets too acidic, I can die, because the life is in the blood, and it is the blood, which is the kitchen, that keeps me alive. That keeps me alive. It is what feeds my cells. It is what helps breathe to my cells. It is what helps get iron phosphate to my cells. It is what helps hydrate my cells. So now I'm not only have I shut down my growth, I've shut down my defense mechanism. I cannot even filtrate out my body anymore. And now my blood is getting tainted and starting to erode my cells, dehydrate my cells, literally suffocate my cells. So now, going back to my cells, if now it's shutting down my DNA and RNA, which helps duplicate it, but my cells are now dying and not multiplying, guess what starts to happen? We start to create tumors. Because that's all tumors is agglomerated dead cells. It's agglomerated dead cells that cannot properly replicate itself. And this is due to radiation. And this is what happens when you're sitting there using your microwave to heat up your food. You are slowly, it's like dosaging. It's like micro dosaging. rather than you getting direct radiation from chemotherapy or radiation. You are microdosing radiation now through your foods. You are microdosing radiation through your foods now. For us, me and my house, we don't use the microwave. We don't use it. When we was in Africa, we didn't even have one. In most houses in America, it's already built in. But in Africa, you got to buy your own. We didn't buy one. Because we understood that if I'm eating food that was heated up by my microwave, radioactive radio wave. If I'm eating radiation wave in my food, I'm literally putting radiation in my body, which is slowly eroding, corroding my body, and ultimately is corroding my cells. You see that? And this is one of the most deadliest silent killers in the home, is a microwave. It's one of the most deadliest killers in the house, is a microwave. Because we are literally microdosing radiation. We are literally microdosing radiation and don't even realize it. Don't even realize it. So it would behoove you, if you had to heat up food, if you had to cook food, to just stick to the stove. Stick to the oven. Because that's natural fire. That is natural fire. When you're using pots, it's best for you to use clay pottery or copper pottery. Because those other heavy metal potteries, when you put heat on them, when you actually put heat on them, it actually dumps some of the metal in your food. And this is why we have to heavy metal detox you. It actually dumps some of the metal in your food because the way they put the metal together, it does not last. That's why you got to constantly buy new pots and pans. I think typically they say you should buy it every 2 years. Because they know it starts to erode and it starts to leak into the food. And this is actually causing a lot of heavy metal sicknesses in the body. And actually it's starting to toxify the blood. But they're not teaching you these things. But if you go back to your culture, like I've been telling y'all, if you go back to the ancient path of your ancestors, you will know we never use this type of pots. We never use no microwave that we do today. We use everything natural. Even from our spoons. We did not use metal spoons. We use wooden spoons or bamboo spoons. Look this up. If you go to Africa today, they are using clay pottery. They are using clay pottery. They don't use metal pots. And the ones that do is the ones who literally who may have made it and they're trying to be like the Gentile or Muzungu. But other than that, when you go to those who may be what they call middle class or poor, which I don't consider them poor, because you're still breathing, you're still eating. But nonetheless, those who poor, they use clay pottery. Look it up. Go, you actually YouTube this. They still do it to this day. So I'm on here to give y'all a different mechanism on how to go about defending your health and defending your body. You have to start eliminating certain things out of your home. Like a microwave. Like these cleaning products. You need a house with more windows where you can get more sunlight. Your house should not be anywhere close to no major cities. It should be more close to nature. You should not be anywhere where the sun is being blocked. You should not be anywhere where there's no trees to be around and all you're around is a concrete jungle. These are things that you can actually do as a defense for your health. You do not have to accept self-afflicting death, family. You don't have to accept that. You choose to accept that. I'll give you an example again. If I'm talking to somebody, I say, brother, sister, you shouldn't be eating that. That's bad for you. You shouldn't be smoking that. You shouldn't be drinking that. You shouldn't be in that type of thing. And they say, oh, well, I know it ain't good for me, but, I know it ain't good for me, man. I know it. I just like it. That is a form of suicide. It's called nutricide and chemicide. It's called nutricide and chemicide. Nutricide, the elder Dr. Layla Africa coined that. Nutricide, get the book. Get the book, Nutricide. Chemicide, dealing with chemical suicide. Chemicals like in your cleaning products. Chemicals like you heating up your food in the microwave. Chemicals like you putting on these deodorants and these creams and these lotions that's carrying chemical waste. And you're putting it on your skin, blocking up your skin to even breathe. So you're suffocating yourself. Chemicals like Crest toothpaste, most people use. When they came out and told you already, Crest can create cancer in the mouth. But we love death more than life. We choose the medical bills over paying the cost of what it takes to naturally heal. I'm going to say it again. We take the medical bill over the cost of what it takes to naturally heal. Nah, family. No, sir. No, sir. So I'm just giving y'all tips on how to really survive. Unfortunately, that's what it is. On how to really survive in this environment. And you can do it. We can't keep using slavery as a reason to accept death. We got to stop doing that. You have a choice now. You do. You have a choice now to choose life or death, wounded or healed. You have a choice now. We can't blame nobody else because we have the opportunity to make the right choices now. Crest toothpaste should not be in your house. I'll be honest with you. There is less than 1% clean deodorants out here. If you want to use natural deodorant, use Key Lime. I've been doing it for 2 years. And my family and everybody around here tell you, I don't stink. When you're talking about using smell goods to smell good for your lady or your man, use natural oils. Frankincense oil, myrrh oil, lavender oil. Smelling like fruits and berries and leaves and trees. Not your Gucci's, not your Sean Johns, not your Seductives, and you sitting there putting it on your skin. Putting it on your skin and burning yourself the hell up. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I used to happen to me. I used to put on that Sean John Seduction. Be putting it on about 5 minutes. I'm like, damn, my skin burning. But that's a sign that you literally putting on chemicalized acid on your skin. And wondering why you got acne, eczema, you're breaking out, your skin dry, your skin peeling. Because you are literally killing yourself. You are literally killing yourself. And it's not all your fault, because why would your enemy educate you on how to heal yourself? Why would your enemy educate you on how to get wealth? Why would your enemy educate you on how to unite your people? Why would your enemy educate you on how to speak your natural language and call upon on the creator from your natural language? Why would your creator put you in a position to understand financial literacy, how to keep the money circulating in your community? Why would your enemy teach you these things? And why am I saying that? Because we have to stop putting our life into the hands of our enemy. And when I'm saying that, I'm not just speaking on color. I'll be honest with you. Because we got a bunch of Sambos, we got a bunch of Judases around us. So I'm not just speaking on no color. I'm speaking on the system. The system is not for anybody who's going to stand up for righteousness. The system is not for anybody who is able to self-sufficiently thrive in their community. This system needs you to be poor. This system needs you to be sick. This system needs you to depend on everything from water, food, fruit, herbs, medical care, education, clothes, cleaning products. You name me one thing, and you think about this for yourself. You name me one thing that you have in your home that you can provide for yourself that you don't have to go to your enemy or this system for. Think about it.
Majority of the black community don't even own no property. Negroes walking around here thinking because they got a mortgage, that they've arrived. And I'm not knocking it. But the point is, we be sitting there posting like we've arrived. You ain't no different than a person who got rent. The only difference is you promised the house if you able to pay. If you able to pay. The person who rents, they paying for nothing. That's the only difference. You still renting. And here's the killer part. If they wanted to, they can still take it home with you mortgaging. Because you don't own the land. You don't own the air. You don't own the soil. You don't even have the deeds. Most people who got mortgages don't even have the deeds to their house. And this is why we got to educate ourselves. This is why we have to, because here's the thing. Education is defense. Education is defense. The Bible says this, where there is no vision, the people perish. Where there is no vision, the people perish. A lot of us have no vision because a lot of us are not educated to know what a vision is. We sit here still trying to practice individualism when we have never been a people based upon individualism. This system is not even based upon individualism. We the only people they push to do individualistic work. We the only people that think because we've been able to move out our hood, move out our environment, and be able to get into a white neighborhood that we have arrived, that we are successful. We the only people that think that. That makes no sense, man. We got to change the mindset to change our lives. We got to start thinking defensively or proactive rather than reactive. We got to start thinking in this way. And it starts in our home on how we develop, on how we take care of ourselves. We got a lot of elders out here sick because they decided to follow the ways of this system rather than following the ways of our ancestors. We got a lot of youth sick because they're not getting educated the proper way on how to go about defending themselves, which in turn helps them defend their communities. So we got to do better in the homes. And it starts with us starting to eliminate things that's killing us, like our microwave, like these cleaning products, like these body care products, like these damn relationships. Stop going into relationships thinking the healing gonna start there. You shouldn't even be in a relationship. And that's how you know that we so far gone. We look at relationships as rehabs. We look at relationships as rehabs. And this is how you know we have lost the value of self-love. We have lost the value of knowing what it really means to take care of one another and love one another. Because we're sitting here loving each other with abstract feelings rather than concrete action. I'm saying it again. We love each other with abstract feelings rather than concrete action. Because we understood back in ancient time, when I got into a relationship, this relationship wasn't just about love. This relationship was about uniting families. This relationship was about uniting tribes. This relationship was about expanding borders. This relationship was about uniting with other kingdoms. This relationship was about creating a nation. We're not in a nation building mindset right now. And this is why it starts in the home. You out here trying to do community work. You ain't doing no common unity in your damn home, man. Woman, you out here trying to do sisterhoods. And you ain't even properly teaching your daughters how to be a good woman. You out here trying to build a nation when you ain't even got no family. It got to start making sense. 1 + 1 is 2. Keep it simple. And here's the most important thing. We got to stop putting people in positions that ain't really there. Their heart ain't there. Because from our standpoint of where we come from as a people, a person who was a true leader was one who was known amongst their community for how they raised their family. That's one. 2, have been doing real community work and has the fruits to show it. And 3, exemplifies the heart to put his community or the bigger picture above himself. We think leaders lead from the front when really leaders lead from the back because they got to watch those who they're teaching. That's what a shepherd is. Have you ever seen the shepherd go in front of his flock? No. A shepherd stays behind and making sure not only does he have the back of his flock, but he's able now to see the parameters. He's able to see the borders to make sure they're not getting invaded or none of his sheep will be snatched up. That's what a real leader is. That's what a real chief is. That's what a real prince, princess, queen, whatever title we want to go is dealing with leadership. That's what it is. And a lot of us have appointed a lot of people based upon their money value. Ooh-wee. Based upon their money value. And you wondering why you get so disappointed when they don't come through because it ain't even them. You put them on a pedestal that they didn't even want. You put them in a position that they were never called to be. And that shows you the level of discernment and choice of leadership that we have in the community. The lack of. We don't even know how to choose leaders. Which reflects because we don't even know how to choose relationships. Because if you understood our way, you will always have the best interests of your family. You will always have the best interests of your family because you represented your family and you carried the family name. So that means anybody you was with, if that situation went bad, it reflected the family and their upbringing of you. But we don't think like that because we've come up in a destroyed, diseased, sick, divided community who don't know what true growth, development, and love is. We accept death. We accept death too much. We accept ass whooping too much. We accept bad relationships too much. We accept the lack of love too much. We accept sick food that's full of GMOs too much. When are we going to step up to be able to put ourselves in position to take care of us? When? When are you going to say, you know what? I know they pump hormones in this food. I know this food going to cause me to get sick. I need to start raising my own cattle. I need to start growing my own food. I know this medicine that they giving me will suppress the symptom of my sickness, but not even heal me from my sickness. I'm going to start growing my own herbs or get with those who are real herbalists, healers, and doctors in the community. I know that they're giving me clothes called polyester that can literally suffocate my skin and actually be part of the demise of my sickness. Knowing that in my ancient culture, we wore 100% cotton, 100% linen, 100% silk, 100% wool that allowed my skin to breathe. That actually was a benefit to my skin because it came from nature. Who told me to cook with this heavy metal pot? Well, my ancestors cooked with clay pottery. They used all things from the earth to make their pots. So when I cook my food, it will not be destroyed or stripped from its constituents, nor would it be any leakage of any heavy metals that can cause harm to my sickness. Ooh-wee. When are we going to start thinking like that? When are we going to look at that woman and look at that man? Let me see what that man's father looked like. Let me see what that woman's mother and father looked like. Let me know their background. What type of background did they come from? How was they raised? How did their parents raise them? What type of lineage do they come from? Did they teach their children manners? Did they teach their children how to defend their community? Did they teach their child how to love? Did they teach them these things, how to take care of a house? Because if they didn't teach them those things, I know I'm going to have to spend time to teach them things, and that can destroy the relationship when we should be building towards greater things. When are we going to start thinking like that? Too many people thinking with their dick. Too many people thinking with their vagina. Too many people thinking with their goddamn emotions and not logic and reason and spirit. Because that's the environment that we've been created. That this is an environment that was built for us to move like that. But you can no longer blame the environment when you have a choice to change it. This is your first home. This body. This is your first home. This is your first garden. This is your first soil. Whatever seeds that you allow to be planted in this soil will manifest itself on the body. Whatever seeds you allow to be planted inside the home will manifest itself outside the home. This is practical knowledge and information. One of the greatest advices I was ever told about 3 years ago. Elder told me, if you know how to grow food, you know how to grow relationships. If you know how to grow food, you know how to grow relationships. I didn't understand that until I started growing food. And once I started growing food, I was able to understand how to build relationships and respect people's processes. Because that's what it takes in growing food, in growing a garden, is patience, long suffering, peace, mercy, grace, being able to observe. If it's too much water, if it's not enough water, is it too much sunlight, is it not enough sunlight? And be able to gauge on how to cultivate that plant, cultivate that herb, cultivate that tree. And if you know how to do that, you literally will know how to build relationships. You literally will know how to take care of yourself. You will literally know how to serve God. Because we know all things are divine to him who created all things. You were created in the image and likeness of God, right? Therefore, you should know how to think, move, and cultivate like God. Because you are his son and his daughter. So when you sit here and you find yourself in a distressed environment, an acidic environment, and you're destroying everything around you, including yourself, you already proclaiming who child you are. Because that's all Satan does. Conquer, destroy, burn up, divide. Whose child are you? Based upon your character and personality and traits, we know who child you are. Based upon how you move, think, make decisions, we know what culture you come from. Based upon how you carry yourself, love your wife, love your husband, love your children, we know who you've been cultivated by. See, the thing about when you understand from a spiritual side, you don't need nobody to speak to understand them. The Bible tells you that. If a fool be quiet, he would be as one who carried wisdom, which tells you that words only say so much. It's the action that defines a man. If a fool, if he's quiet, can be counted as one who has wisdom because you can't discern which one, that tells you right there the character and the personality of a man defines how he or she is. So you know, if you're looking at a woman or a man, if he eating crap all day, acting like a couch potato, sitting there all day, you know how he or she gonna raise your children. We gotta start thinking like this, man. If we want to see real liberation, we want to see real chains being broke, we gotta start moving, thinking, and creating programs like this. Because a lot of us don't know how to make sound decisions. And we know that by way of how we eat. You're going to sit here and tell me, I know this ain't good for me, but it just tastes so good. You're telling me you don't know how to make sound decisions. You telling me that. You calling me, telling me you got diabetes, hypertension, glaucoma, whatever. And I'm telling you what you need to do to heal from that. And you say, man, I got to do all that, man. I don't know, man. You're telling me that you don't know how to make the tough decisions when shit get hard. You telling me that. So if you can't even make the decision for yourself, how can I depend on you if I ain't around to make the hard decisions for my family? We got to start looking at people like this. Stop looking at this skin. Look at this. Look at this. Look at the spirit of a person to know if this is the person I should be linked. I should be in covenant. I should be yoked to. Because it can really depend on your life. Your life will depend on that person. Once you make covenant, once you make a decision, once you are yoked. Y'all better start looking at that, man. How is this person eating? Is his house clean? Do we take care of his children if he got some? What's his past? How did his parents raise him? What do they do? What are their morals and principles? What are their beliefs? What are their spiritual practices? Because all of that he's been cultivated or she's been cultivated into, you gonna be dealing with. And you gotta ask yourself, do you have the patience for that person to get through that process? So I know I done went totally left, totally right, up and down with the conversation. But ultimately, this is about understanding the deadly techniques, the deadly ways, the deadly concepts within our own home that is killing us, y'all. And I want y'all to make better decisions. Don't tell me you want to build community if your home ain't right. Don't tell me you want to be healthy if you're not willing to make the healthy decision yourself. Ultimately, it comes down to how are you going to make decisions to make sure your environment is in a more holistic state of mind. The choice is yours, family. The choice is yours. All right? The choice is yours. So I know somebody asked me like, okay, well, if we're dealing with radiation or toxins, what do we do? One of the main herbs I would suggest dealing with radiation is cilantro. Cilantro is very, very good for combating radiation and heavy metals. Another one is sweet wormwood. Another one is yellow dock root. Turmeric root is good as well. I actually have some herbs on my website. The best thing when you want to deal with repairing your DNA, your RNA, and really restoring the cells and restoring the thyroid is my Cycles of Life tea package. Can somebody type that in for me? Cycles, like a cycle. Cycles of Life tea package. Because in that tea package, it not only helps detoxify the skin, it also helps repair the DNA and the cells. It helps repair the thyroid. It helps bring calcium to the bones. It also helps repair the blood, making sure it stays alkaline. It also helps reactivate the adrenal glands, kidneys, and the lymphatic system. All the things that you would need to combat radiation. It's called the Cycles of Life tea package. And it's actually one of my best sellers because it pretty much does overall body cleanse. So anytime you ask me, hey, I want to do an overall body cleanse, I'm going to suggest the Cycles of Life tea package. I'm going to suggest the Cycles of Life tea package because everything comes in one. I was able to create something where I can do an overall cleanse. And it's been working wonders, y'all. It's been working wonders. So without further ado, I know I've been going, but anybody got any questions? I got to get out. I got to start making some more runs. Anybody got any other questions? I know I ain't been on here for a little minute like this. I ain't posted in a little minute. Man, I just been getting some things together on my end, you know, and I still plan on doing some lives, but more so on YouTube. So make sure y'all go to my YouTube as well. It's I'm gonna type it in. It's KTV Podcast. KTV Podcast. Y'all can go subscribe, like, comment on my YouTube, because that's where I will be starting to go live more on. Yep, you can use it for somebody who got diabetes 1 and 2. Because we dealing with hypertension. We dealing with your blood pressure being high. We dealing with inflammation. So it's gonna bring the constituents and the vital minerals to the cells to cool it down. It's going to have the herbs. It's going to help eliminate the inflammation infiltrated by way of the kidneys and through your urination. It's going to help repair the GI tract, your colon, your descending colon, you know what I'm saying, your large and small intestine. It's going to help that. It's going to help build good bacteria in the body. So if you're having any issue with leaky gut, it will be prepared. That's what that do. Any more questions? No problem. No problem at all. Y'all keep supporting me. I'm supporting y'all. You know, that's what this thing's about. You know what I'm saying? We never know the time, you know, when we're going to be called home. And I want to make sure that, you know, in my time, I can help in the best way possible to get this information out. Because you never know who is the next herbalist, or who's the next healer, or who's the next warrior, or who's the next, anything dealing with the upliftment of our people. You don't never know. And the reason we're here, people like myself and others, is because those before us left literature behind. They left speeches behind. They left, poems behind. They left their blueprint on it by their descendants behind, so that we were able to, pass the torch and keep the baton going. Hers for hair. Remember, if you're dealing with your hair and you having issues with your hair, you're dealing with a nervous system problem. So we need a lot of, what's good for nerves, your nervous system? Berries, elderberry, juniper berries. They're very electrified. Hawthorn berries. Another one that's good for your nervous system also is purple sea moss, not gold, but purple sea moss. What else? Rosemary is also good too. Rosemary leaf is good. I actually got an oil on my website called Atomized Hair and Growth Oil. And it's nothing but pure oils made from pure plants. Atomized Hair and Growth Oil. And I got all my oils from Africa, straight from Tanzania. So they're fresh, they're potent, they strong for real, for real. For you, prostate too. I don't know why, but the prostate loves berries. Berries. Eat berries and go on a cleanse, a fruit cleanse, all fruit cleanse. What I have on my website that actually helps with the prostate, again, is my Cycles of Life tea package. What also I would suggest for you to do is get my parasite, my pathogen remover. Because if you're dealing with enlargement inflammation, I guarantee we're gonna find parasites. And then my man's testosterone balance. Ooh, fire. Maca root, sea moss, yellow dock root. What else they got in there? Elderflower, Damiana leaf, which helps balance the hormones. All that. I'll take one more question. I gotta go, y'all. One more question. Make sure y'all subscribe to my YouTube channel too, y'all. I'm gonna start doing like real live classes on there. I'm gonna be pulling up slides. We're gonna do PowerPoints and everything. So y'all make sure y'all subscribe over there. Any other questions? Any other questions? I'm about to get up out of here. All right, family. Well, that's everything. And listen, I appreciate y'all. I wish nothing but peace. I wish nothing but love. May the Most High's light shine upon you. May you receive abundance and prosperity. And most of all, in this wicked world, make sure you find your balance. All right. Shalom, shalom. Shalom alaikum.